stupid. These lower links are going to go right here for the spring. And then I'm making basically a little square kind of hoop that'll go and link both sides, and then that'll go up to my shocks. There's gonna be another bronze bushing here. This will have a press fit shoulder bolt that I'm gonna tack on the back, so it's just gonna be basically a stud. So the only play will be in the shoulder bolt and the bushing itself. And I've again squared this up with the mill exactly 2 inches back. I was gonna put the holes in at the end after the welding, but I totally forgot. But there is more. It's going to be a hoop, so there is going to be more. Like if these 2 holes were off, that would have been a problem. I did those holes after welding, but these are already in here, and I'm not remaking this, so I'm just going to line this up. So these basically will press in. They're like a light press. They fit right in there. I wish this was lighter, but the heavier it is, the slower the suspension is going to be able to, you know, react. So lighter would be better on the moving parts, but it's not a performance vehicle, so whatever. It is what it is. You know what the worst part of this is? That I have like a 4 foot by 2 foot by 3/8 thick plate for a welding table that's been sitting in my house for like 2 years, and I've still not made into a welding table. I might actually do that after this. This is stupid. Alright, so this is my rear link that I machined and bushed here. I got 3/8 bushings that I'm just going to drill out a little bit for the M10 bolt here. And this is basically my tie link, or whatever you want to call it. It's going to sit behind and hold those, and it's going to match the angle of the lower links. And it'll just go up and down and basically keep these from pushing outward. So there won't be a whole lot of force on these. It's going to be a very small vector going out. Oh man, so it's like 3 in the morning on a work night, and I had to get this together today to see if this is even going to work, or if these springs are going to be way too stiff or way too soft. I don't know. I mean, I did the math to use the spring travel that I have, so I figured it would be close to right. And I can kind of adjust the angle of my arms here. So lower would be softer and up would be stiffer because you get closer to 90. But I just cut the motor free of this really crude frame stand thing that I built. And I'm bouncing on it, and it does seem kind of stiff, but not. I would rather have it stiff than soft. I was afraid it was just going to be like soggy. Yeah, this might actually work, and I can still, I mean, I'm pretty high on my angle, so if I drop this another like 10 degrees and kind of flatten this out, it should help make this softer. I'm happy it even sort of works right now. And everything's loose. I mean, I didn't tighten anything. I just threw bolts and everything just to make sure it would fit and work. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Really tired. This is where we're at. Just painted the frame, although I am going to have to weld more stuff to it. I just wanted to make sure I got the frame painted before I threw the engine in, because I didn't feel like taking it back out. And it's just clear, so I'm just going to sand off spots I got to weld, and then I'll just respray it after I weld. It's high heat, so, and oil resistant, so should be okay with some weld heat here and there. It's not like I care that much about it. Visually. Sprayed all these last night too, so they won't rust. My wheel's hanging out here. I'm gonna throw this guy back in there and see how badly the frame warped. This is fun too. JT sprockets, once again, not the right thickness of sprocket. This is like 50 thou thinner than the other ones, so it's got this stupid snap ring system, which I don't like. And it doesn't sit flush with the edge of the groove. So now I gotta make or find a washer like that of 50 extra thou, or just make a double thick, you know, add 50 to the thickness of that one, so it actually sits and the sprocket can't move around. So it's really simple, annoying problems that just kills your time. Okay, this is the first time it's been on its own wheels, and it does look pretty rad. I really dislike the bars, and if I have time, I'm going to make some, but I just might not have time. I'll do it regardless later, but I just don't know for the Dirtbag if I'll have time, but it looks pretty awesome. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how cushy the suspension in the front is. I was hoping it was just like when I put wheels on it and actually get on it and can bounce on it, I'll be able to tell if it's awful or not. And it actually feels about what I was hoping it would feel like. So I was just bouncing on it, and I went, it looks like about maybe a little over halfway. There's a little mark right there where the wiper was going. So I still got my body weight bouncing on it pretty hard. I still have about an inch to go to the bump stop. So that's pretty good. And the way the links are, it's progressive, so it gets stiffer as it goes up due to the angles. So yeah, it might actually work. So I got new tires on today. I got to weld my little brake stopper on and hopefully put some wiring in tomorrow, put the carbs on, figure out a seat still, get the gas tank mounted. There's so many little things still to do. Thing's gonna flop so hard if I let it. So this is almost the end of my second to last weekend, and the power just went out. So I can't use my welder, and I can't use my mill, and I can't use my lathe, and I can't use my bandsaw or anything else. Great. And I need all of those things right now. So yeah, hopefully the power will come back, because I sort of need it. All right, I've been going pretty fast, didn't time-lapse everything. I just welded on my brake stopper, basically. It's the big chunk of steel that goes in this part of the hub to prevent the hub from spinning when you use the brakes. So I'm kind of letting that cool down with aluminum on it. And then I punched little safety pin holes in these bolts so I can use my castle nuts here. Just because I'm kind of afraid of any of these bolts coming out, because it would be like catastrophic to the suspension and my life. So hopefully those will work and prevent the nuts from ever coming off. These guys I'm just gonna use jam nuts, and I'm just gonna wedge two nuts really tightly together, probably with Loctite, and call that good. And then I made little brackets for a sissy bar, which is the sissy bars right here. I got 1/2-inch rod. I made these little guys that are gonna weld right around there on here. And then that should give me a nice little mounting point. It's got a little M8 tap in the middle. And then I made these little brackets for the ends. I took an end mill and punched it right in the center. Yeah, that way when you slip it over the end of the rod, it's basically self-centering. And it'll be easy to keep straight and weld on, I figured that way. So that should work. Figuring on a good like 4 foot or so sissy bar should look pretty cool. Balance the front end a little bit. I am pretty pissed about this because this is a brand new reproduction petcock and it drips. You can see it's leaking over here, but Thankfully it's dripping out the bottom and not the side. The other one is an original and it's leaking out the side a little bit, so I guess I'm just gonna deal with that. But I gotta wedge a battery in here, I guess, because I have nowhere else. I could have planned better and put it under here, but I think a smaller battery would have been better. I got a pivot bracket where this is a little regulator is gonna mount to, and my coil is gonna go up here. All the wiring has tons of space inside the tank. If you can see in there, I don't know. But there's a lot of room under that tunnel because the tank is sitting so high off the frame. Hopefully this thing will be running tomorrow. This is my last weekend. And there's so much to do. I still have exhaust to do. I have a kickstand to do. I have foot pegs to do. Rear brake, if I have time. I want to make handlebars. Probably won't have time. I have to put the new sprockets and chain on still. I have to get the fender mounted. I didn't notch it out yesterday. Put these big notches in for the frame so it can sit right here and clear this massive fat tire. But I still have to weld that in. I have to put the whole sissy bar together, which is my license plate bracket, my rear light bracket, you know, everything in one, my luggage rack. Oh man, let's get to work again. Okay, another update. I got my kickstand figured out. I think I kind of screwed it up and forgot that this has to be kind of, the pivot motion, the plane has to be kind of in line with the bike. So I tacked it on kind of crooked and I was like, oh, that'll work. And then I looked at it, I'm like, why is the angle funky? And then realized what I did. Just because this was from a gold wing and actually would have fit like really well on this tube. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, it'll work perfect here, and I kind of forgot to check the angle. But this worked out really well. I put it right there. I didn't even have to shorten the kickstand. All I had to do is I cut the back and bent the foot a little bit to the side and to the back to make the foot angle correct. It's nowhere near my chain. Making a seat bracket. I kind of did this temporary because I don't really like this stupid Amazon seat. You can see this lovely centered mounting hole on it. You see I drilled 2 holes and went to go put it on, and the bracket was like way off to the side because this front stud is nowhere near center. It's like a good 1/8 inch off center. So I had to slot that hole way over to get this to be straight. And then they also put the springs at like a really backward angle so it won't match at all. Like when the seat's down, the springs are pointed like 45 degrees back. So to straighten some of that, I made little aluminum brackets. I bandsawed down the side. That was fun. It's like 15 degrees. So I made 2 little wedges. So that's essentially, instead of having the bracket like that, I've corrected it and it's more or less flat. And I'm going to put that there so the bolts are somewhat flat to this plate when they bolt through. And then eventually I want to get rid of this junk and just make a cool king queen seat, but for now I don't have time. So I'm just using this stupid thing. And I'm just going to bolt that on, and the springs are going to mount right there. There's barely enough room to get to my little fender mounting bolts. And then onto the sissy bar. And then onto the exhaust. And then onto hopefully getting the thing running. It's Friday. Dirtbag is tomorrow. My garage is a mess. This is my bike still.